Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Back again with yet another commander from Takir. Well, a commander deck I've created from one of the legends in the main set of Takir Dragonstorm today. And I'm going to start with my confusion because obviously today's deck is Betor, kin to all, 2 white, black and green for a 5/7 Spirit Dragon. And at the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have a total toughness of 10 or greater, draw a card. If they've got 20 or greater, untap each creature you control. And if you've got 40 or more, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. Fantastic card, but there's something I don't understand, and it is this. The other version of Betor, Ancestor's Voice, I covered the other week. And Betor Ancestor's Voice is the backup commander for the Abzan Armor pre-constructed deck. And I'm going to be really fair here. I don't know if Wizards got these the wrong way around. If you've seen the deck list for the Abzan Commanders deck, which I'll pull up, hold on a second, you'll know it's very much focused on creatures and defenders and high toughness creatures. It's all here. It's all on Wizards website. If you haven't seen them, I'll remember, if I remember, I'll put a link in the chat in the description down below, so you go and look at all the pre-con decks if you want to, if you haven't already. But it's very much focused on toughness of creatures all the way through, and it just seems weird that they've put this commander, well, this version of Betor, in as the backup commander to go with Felfor the Steadfast. Instead of using the kin to all. I don't know, maybe they just thought it'd be better that way around. I have no idea. It just seems strange to me. But anyway, yeah, weird one. But we are going to look at Betor kin to all today. So, the kin to all has, at the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have toughness 10 or greater, draw a card. If creatures you control have toughness 20 or greater, untap each creature. And then if you have creatures with total toughness 40 or greater, each opponent loses half their life rounded up. You can see why I think it should be better in the other one. But anyway, I've built it. I've gone with it. Yeah, we've got some of the synergies coming in from the pre-con deck. So, you know, we'll see how it goes, but I think it's going to work really well. So here we go. Here's what today's deck really looks like after my rambling start to this video. So, 38 creatures in the deck. We've got a lot of ramp. Because Betor will be killed off, I would imagine, quite easily, we had to go with the ramp sides. We've got Arbor Elf, we've got Birds of Paradise, we've got Elves of Deep Shadow to give us a bit of black, although be careful, you do lose a life when you do this. Elvish Mystic, Fine Ord, and Llanowar Elves help us out with all our early game ramp. Then we've got some creatures with fairly high toughness coming in. So we've got Jahidi Offshoot, which gives you a little bit of life, so it does offset the life loss from Elves of Deep Shadow, but you know, it's there. Walking Bulwark is a bit of a no-brainer in this deck. We can give one of our defenders haste and can attack, so it didn't have haste and assign combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So that's kind of nice, and it pumps up our ability to have a toughness of 10 or greater, so we can draw that card. Crashing Drawbridge is here just to give all our creatures haste when we activate it. Gate Creeper Vine gets us a basic land. Overgrown Battlement just helps us ramp up significantly with the amount of defenders we have got in the deck. Sylvan Carroted, Hexproof, colour, you know what it does. Vine Trellis for the extra mana ramp. Wall of Blossoms for the card draw. Wall of Essence to gain us life when it takes damage. And Wall of Roots does get smaller, but it does give us a way of putting a -0/-1 counter on a creature to get some extra mana if we need it early on. Axebane Guardian also gives us any X in any combination of colours where X is the number of defenders we control. And Carven Carroted just draws as a card and is a 2/5, so I think it's a reasonably good blocker. I had to have a bit of fun because, you know, we know in Takir we have got the mini Siege Rhino back, and I wanted to play it, and this is the first sort of Asban deck I've done so far. Well, the second one when I knew the set. Obviously, the original Betor one I need to go back to at some stage and update, as I said in the video, because that was done a long time ago now. But having this here, if one loses 2, you gain 2. Got to have a little bit of a nod to Siege Rhino. One of the cards that is in the pre-con deck that I've included here is Sidar Condor of Jamura. Gives flanking, and creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. So when you've activated your walls at all 0 X's, they can't be blocked. So yay, go us. The Necrobloom comes in to give us those plant tokens, and eventually if we get 7 more different lands, we get to have the zombies instead, and gives all our lands dredge too. So one does get destroyed, we need it back. We've got a way of doing it. And then we've got both trees. We've got Tree of Perdition to exchange target opponent's life total with this creature's toughness. Lovely way of nicking someone's life total, getting those triggers up for Akin to All, and by probably eliminating them there and then, to be perfectly honest, because if you drop someone to 13, you should get 13 damage through quite easily on some people, I think. Likewise, we've got the Tree of Redemption in as well, so we can exchange our life total with this creature's toughness if things go a bit pear-shaped for us. And then some nods. We've got Dragon Lord Dracoma in, just so we can have the flying and lifelink, and we can't have our opponents casting spells during our turn. Obviously, we're in black, so the Grave Titan appears. This comes in for 6 mana and gives us 10 power, so helps us massively. Well, 10 toughness, I should say. Helps us massively trigger Betor into All. Hydra Broodmaster. I quite like this in here. Gives us 7 towards our totals, what we're going for. But if we can make it monstrous, all those extra Hydra creatures as toughnesses will count towards our thing up here, and we'll be probably even more happy than we are normally. Kodama of the East Tree comes in just so we can drop more permanents into play. That's fine. Protect for the Wastes is one of the commander cards from Anspan Armour that I've talked about. This one's nice though, because when it enters or becomes a monstrous, exile up to 2 artifacts and or enchantments controlled by different players. Get rid of those soul rings that are annoying you. Sun Titan brings everything back, as we know, and then another nod to the past. Teneb the Harvester. I just quite like this one here. If you do put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, when you hit it with damage, you've got 3 mana, one of which is black kicking around. Beladros Witherbloom comes in just to, well, I wanted another dragon, Elder Dragon, and this one's nice because of the pest tokens. We gain a little bit of life. But one of the key creatures, I think, is Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite. Hold on. Ooh, there we go. I can't read Phyrexian. Changed it. Other creatures you control get +2/+2, which helps pump up towards our toughness targets up here and makes everything smaller. It's kind of key in this deck, I think. One of the things I have played around with those Giant Adaphage, because if you can get the combat damage in and get a token, there's a copy of the Giant Adaphage. Get 1 point in, you get another 7 points of toughness towards your totals. Old Gnawbones in, just to give us those treasures when it connects. Archon of Cruelty, because sorry I'm playing something that's got black in it, and I seem to be playing the Archon a lot in those sort of decks. And then we have Golta, Stampeding Tyrant. One surefire way of emptying your hand full of all the creatures you may have to make sure you hit the toughness targets for Betor kin to all. Also playing Apex Devastator, because quadruple cascading is meant to be good, I hear. And then Impervious Great Worm, just for a little bit of fun at the end. We can Convoke it, which makes it a little bit easier to cast, but 16/16, that's indestructible. Yes, it doesn't have any evasion, doesn't have trample, doesn't have flying, so it can be blocked all day by plant tokens, because, you know, they're cute. But the 16 means you're pretty much there for getting the card. Well, you will be there every turn for getting the card with Betor in play, and if you've got both of them in play, that gives you 23 toughness. Therefore, you'll be untapping all your creatures each turn, so convoking this out becomes a non-issue, really. From there, we go to Sorcery's Land, and we've got a lot of ramp. So we've got Farseek, Nature's Law, 3 Visits, Ranger's Path, and Sky Shroud Claim. I had to play Genesis Wave. Is this the right deck to have it in? Maybe, maybe not, but it's Genesis Wave. I'm playing green. I haven't had it in deck for a while. It's here. You can drop it and replace it with something else, but I have a real thing for Genesis Wave, as anyone who attends the stream regularly knows. You can come see it down below when this set hits. There's a link to Twitch. Come follow. Damnation to give us some board control, and also Dusk to Dawn. Destroy anything with power of 3 or greater. That's fine. But this gives you a really great way of bringing back any of your defenders, 2 or less power from your graveyard to the battlefield. And yeah, get them all to go again. So we won't complain too much. Ramp, not too much today from the artifact side of things, because we are in green and we've got the ramp spells and the elves. But we've got Mox Tantalite, the Soul Talisman, Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, and we've also included Genesis Chamber. Now, Genesis Chamber is one of those cards I love, but sometimes it backfires against us, especially if you end up playing a Shrewford's player who's got Parallel Lives, doubling season out. They just end up with a whole load more mirrors than you're ever going to get. But I figured it's worth playing it in here, because when you do drop your creatures, you do get technically an extra point of toughness each time, which kind of goes up here and helps Betor again. Enchantments, we've got 10. Assault formation, so our defender, we can pay green to give our defenders the ability to attack each turn. Flowering of the White Tree pumps all our non-legendary creatures and also pumps all our legendary creatures, as well as giving them Ward 1, so a little bit of protection. Meat Hook Massacre makes an appearance because, yep, we want some way of wiping the board again. The Growing Rights of Itlamok are also in. Hopefully we'll be able to hit the 4 creature limit and just flip it over to the Poseido Geo's Cradle. Sylvan Scavenging chucks around some +1/+1 counters and eventually gives us a raccoon if we need it to help pump our toughness count up even more. And then Baron Step Siege makes an appearance. This is purely going to go on Asban. We're not going to do the Mardo thing. This is here to chuck around the +1/+1 counters in our end step to pump up our toughness of all our creatures. Guardian Project, we're in a green deck, no brainer. And then Jaws of Defeat, which is one of the new cards from the Asben Armor deck. Whenever a creature you control enters, target opponent loses life equal to the difference between that creature's power and its toughness. So with this in play and Betor coming in play, you shock someone. But with some of the walls we've got, we're going to be lightning bolting them or doing more. So bear that in mind. Another one of the cards that comes in is Revival of the Ancestors. I like the idea of the Spirit token. And then chucking around some +1/+1 counters is lovely. And eventually triggering Trample and Lifelink into the end of turn gives us a bit of an Alpha Strike type effect. Because I'm worried about recasting Betor when they've been killed off, we've got Mirari's Waking just to double up the mana production and pump our creatures up. So double helping with Betor's things. But we are playing heavy lands. We are playing 38 lands in this deck, which is unusual for me. I usually average some monocolored decks are anything between 33 and 35, but most of my commander decks are 37. I went with 38 today because I do want to make sure I'm getting Betor in play, and I am worried about when this gets killed off a couple of times, the additional command attacks being hit. But heavy on the forests, 4 plains, 4 swamps, all the other swamps, forests and plains that you can think of are here. We have got the usual in here. We've got Reliquary Tower, we've got Temple of the False God, and because it's green and black, Yavimaya and Urborg make an appearance today for this deck. And that's it. That's my take on this version of Betor. I am still going to be confused forever as to why this wasn't the commander, backup commander. But, you know, the commander deck, sorry, backup commander. But it's the way it goes. Sometimes you just have to play with what you got. And to be fair, if I open this as a pre-release, I'm still going to be really happy with it. So, yeah, that's the way it goes. So, that's it for today. Let me know in the comments down below if you think there's anything I've missed that should be in the deck. I'm very pleased to say I'm now, as I record this, I'm sitting at 635 subscribers here on YouTube. So please, if you can, hit the subscribe button if you've not been here before. I'd really appreciate it. And come and follow me on Twitch as soon as the set is released for Takir Dragonstorm. We're going to have a bit of fun. We'll do the draft like we always do, and then the next stream after that will probably be a pre-con challenge, which I'll probably do a quick video about nearer the time so you all know what's happening. So bear that in mind. But for now, thanks for watching. Take care, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow with yet another one from Takir. Have a good one. Bye bye.